We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Amud Aleph in Meseches Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 40a. This is the beginning of the fifth parak of Meseches Sanhedrin. The Mishnah says, "Hayu bodkin oson b'sheva chakiros." They would examine the witnesses with 7 interrogations. This is talking about din and nefashos, capital cases. And the 7 questions they would ask are as follows: Be'ezo shavua, in what Shemitah cycle did it happen? Be'ezo shana, in what year of the Shemitah cycle did it happen? Be'ezo chodesh, in what month? Bekama b'chodesh, what day of the month? Be'ezo yom, what day of the week? Be'ezah shah, what hour? Be'ezah makom, and in what place? Rabbi Yossi says they would just ask Be'ezah yom, what day? Be'ezah shah, what hour? Be'ezah makom, what place? And the Mishnah continues, Makir osam, Makir natem, do you recognize? Makir natem oso, do you recognize him? Hisartem bo, did you warn him? Ha'ovid of avodazar, let's say somebody is being accused of idol worship. Esmi avad, who did he worship? Uvame avad, in what manner did he worship? Kol hamarba bebedikos, and anybody who asks more questions in the examination, hareze meshubach, that is praiseworthy. Maisa ubadak ben Zakkai bu'ukse ta'enim. There was an incident where Ben Zakkai even asked questions with regards to the stems of the figs. He even went that far in order to find a possible contradiction within the testimony. And the Mishnah continues, Ma bein chakiros levidikos. What's the difference between interrogations and examinations? Chakiros, when it comes to interrogations, echad omer eini yodeya. If somebody says, I don't know the answer to that question, that's one of the 7 chakiros listed above, the time and the place. So if somebody says, I don't know, if a witness says he doesn't know, edusan betela, then we say that their testimony is nullified. But bedikos, when it comes to the examinations, other kinds of questions, echad omer eini yodeya, if one of the witnesses says, I don't know, ve'afilu shnayim omrim einanu yodin, even if 2 of them say they don't know, edusan kayemes, we still say that the testimony stands. And the Mishnah continues, echad chakiros ve'echad bedikos, whether we are talking about chakiros or bedikos, bisman shemachishin zeh zeh, in a situation where they contradict one another, edusan betela, so then we say that their testimony is nullified. Echad omer b'shnayim b'chodesh, if one of them says that it happened on the 2nd of the month, v'echad omer b'shlosha b'chodesh, another one says it happened on the 3rd of the month, edusan kayemes, there we still say that the testimony stands. Shezeh yodea b'ibura shel chodesh, v'zeh eino yodea b'ibura shel chodesh, we say that one witness, he knew about the fact that the month had an extra day, the other one did not realize that that month had an extra day. Zeh omer b'shlosha v'echad, let's say one says that it happened, b'shlosha rather, one says it happened on the 3rd of the month, v'echad omer b'chamisha, and one says that it happened on the 5th, so then already you do some betela. Then we have to say that their testimony is nullified because there's no reason why they would have gotten confused. Even if the month before was a month with an extra day or not with an extra day, it wouldn't create that distance between saying the 3rd day of the month and the 5th day of the month. And the Mishnah continues, echad omer b'shtei shos ve'echad omer b'shalosh shos. What if one of the witnesses says it happened in the 2nd hour of the day, the other one said it happened in the 3rd hour of the day? Edusan kayemes, there we say that the testimony stands. Echad omer b'shalosh ve'echad omer b'chamish, if one says it happened in the 3rd and one says it happened in the 5th hour, edusan betela, then already we say that the testimony is nullified. Rabbi Yehuda says kayemes, we still say that that testimony stands. One can get confused between the 3rd and the 5th hour of the day. However, echad omer b'chamish ve'echad omer b'sheva, if one says it happened in the 5th hour of the day, one says it happened in the 7th hour of the day, then we say edusan betela, then we say their testimony is nullified. Shebechomesh chama b'mizrach v'sheva chama b'mayrib, because in the 5th hour the sun is in the east, in the 7th hour the sun is in the west. That is not something that a person would confuse. And the Mishnah continues, then we bring in the second witness who vote kenoso, and we examine him. If it turns out that what they say, it lines up, so then we begin the deliberations by talking about the person's possible innocence. If one of the witnesses says, I have a reason why he should be innocent, or let's say one of the students says, he says, I have a reason why the person should be guilty. In those cases, so we silence the person, that we don't listen to. But if one of the students say, I have a reason to say innocent, then then we raise him up, we bring him with the other judges, we sit him among them, and he doesn't come down from there the entire day. And if there's substance in his words, we listen to him. And even if he says, the defendant himself himself says, I have a reason why I should be considered innocent. Shomin lo, we listen to him. Uvilvad sheyesh mamish b'dvarav, as long as there is substance to his words. And the Mishnah continues, V'im matzu lo zechus patru, if we find some reason to say innocent, then we say that he is exempt. V'im lav, and if not, ma'avir no solamachar, we wait until the next day. Umizdavgin zugos, we pair up the judges with one another for deliberations. Hayu mimatin mimaychol v'lo hayu shosin yayin, they would not eat a lot, and they would not drink wine, kol hayom, the entire day. V'nosin kol halayla, they would deliberate the whole night. Ulamachras mashkimin, the next day they would get up, uvoyin lebezin, they would come to court. Hamizaka omer, the person who said innocent, the judge who said innocent, he would say, Ani mizaka umizaka ani b'mkomi, I said innocent, and now I continue to say innocent. V'hamachayev omer, and the one who ruled guilty, he would say, Ani mechayev u'mechayev ani b'mkomi, I said guilty, and I continue to say, to maintain guilty. Hamalamed chov hamalamed zechus, and the Mishnah says that if somebody originally said guilty, he could then change and instead give reasons for innocence. Aval hamalamed zechus, but somebody who originally said innocent, eino yachal achzor u'lalamed chov, he can't come back afterwards and give reasons for guilt. To bedavar shnei sofrei hadayanim maskir no. So if the person makes a mistake, they're not sure exactly what they said, then the two scribes of the court remind him. Im matzu lo zechus patru, again, if they find a reason for innocence, then we say the person is exempt. V'im lav, and if not, omdim laminyan, so then we have to stand up to be counted. All of the judges have to vote in terms of innocence or guilt. And the Mishnah says, Shnei Masr Mizakin ve'achar asr mechayvin. Let's say you have a situation where 12 say innocent and 11 say guilty. This is talking about a court of 23 judges. So in such a situation, you have a majority by one judge saying innocent, then we say zakai, then we say the person is innocent. Shnei Masr mechayvin ve'achar asr mizakin. Let's say you have 12 say guilty, and you have 11 that are saying innocent. That's a majority by one judge saying guilty. That's not enough. You need to have a majority by two judges. Ve'afilu achar asr mizakin. And the Mishnah says, even if 11 would say innocent and 11 would say guilty, and one of them says, I don't know, even if you have a situation of 22 saying innocent, or saying guilty, and one says, I don't know, in all of those cases where somebody says, I don't know, Yosifu Hadayon, you have to add on to the amount of judges. The Kama Mosifan, and how many judges are added, Shnayim, you always add two at a time, at Shivim V'yechad, until you arrive at a maximum total of 71 judges. Shloshim v'shishim mezakin, if you have those 71 and 36 judges say innocent. Ushloshim v'chamisha mechayvin, and 35 say guilty. Zakai, then we say innocent. Shloshim v'shishim mechayvin, if it's the other way, if 36 say guilty, ushloshim v'chamisha mezakin, and 35 are the ones who say innocent. So now you have a majority by one judge saying guilty. So then don in elu keneged elu, they continue to deliberate one against the other at sheyira echad min hamechayvin divrei hamizakin, until one of the people who said guilty is convinced of the words of those who say innocent. And Rashi explains, Shnei Masr mechayvin v'achad asar mizakin. Let's say you have 12 saying guilty and you have 11 saying innocent, so you have a majority by just one judge saying guilty. V'hatayoscha al pi echad l'ro less. Again, you're not allowed to say that the person is guilty based on a majority of just one judge. Hilkach Yosifu Hadayonim, that's why you have to add on to the judges. And Rashi continues, Afilu Esrim Ushnayim Mizakin, even if 22 said innocent, or Mechayvin, or 22 said guilty, V'yachar Omer Eni Odeya, and one of them said, I don't know, Yosifu Hadayon, you still have to add to the judges. The Hai Damer Eni Odeya, command less a dummy, because if a judge says, I don't know, it's like he's not there, he's not counted. Ve'in Don and Din and Nefashos Lo Lezechus V'lo Lechova, Be'pachos Me'asrim Ushlosha. You cannot rule in cases of capital punishment, not for innocence or for guilt, with less than 23 judges. You must have at least 23 judges, and that means that all 23 have to be issuing some kind of ruling. No one can say, I don't know, and so you have to add on, Shnayim, you have to add on two at a time. In this Chalko Shnayim, now let's say the two that you added, let's say they split, Shosifu Zelakan v'Zelakan, so it was meaning to say, you added one judge on the innocent side and one judge on the guilty side, and you still don't have a situation where you have a majority for innocence by one judge or a majority for guilty by two judges, so then Tzarech Lo Sefot Shnayim, you have to add another two judges, you do that all the way until you reach 71 judges. And the Gemara says, from where do we know these words? How do we know that there are 7 questions that are asked in the interrogations, that there are 7 chakiros? Amar Rav Yehuda says, Diamar Krotz, because the pasuk says, V'darashta v'chakarta v'sha'alta heitev. So V'darashta v'chakarta and v'sha'alta v'sha'alta hetev, that is 3, v'darashta being 1, v'chakarta being another question, v'sha'alta hetev being a third question. V'yomer in the pasuk also says v'hugad l'cha v'shamata v'darashta hetev. It says again v'darashta hetev, so that's another 2, so that's 3 plus 2 is 5. V'yomer, and then the pasuk also says v'darshu hashoftim hetev, darshu and hetev, that's another 2, that's a total of 7 questions. And Rashi says, Menani mili davdin an sheva chakiros, from where we know that we have 7 chakiros, v'darashta v'chakarta mashma yafa yafa. The words v'darashta v'chakarta, that sounds like real examinations, real questions. V'sha'alta lo mashma chakira ela ad of hetev v'hadei. The word v'sha'alta, that doesn't count as an interrogation until you also have the word hetev. It doesn't sound like you're really asking hard questions unless you add the word hetev. So therefore, hatulasa, that comes out to a total of 3. Again, v'darashta is 1, v'chakarta is 1, v'sha'alta hetev is 1, that's a total of 3. Uv'yar nidachas ksivi, those words are written by Yer nidachas. Uv'yachid oved avodah zara ksiv, now by an individual who worships avodah zara, there it's written v'darashta hetev hatrei, v'darashta and hetev, each one is 1, that's a total of another 2, that brings us to 5. De'ilu v'darashta below hetev, mashma drisha malya, because Rashi notes the word v'darashta, even without the word hetev, sounds like a real examination. Uv'edim zomen ksiv, and by edim zomen it's written v'darshu hashoftim hetev, v'hinei shekero 8, so it says again v'darshu and hetev over there. Mazhircha akasav lidrosh hetev es edim achronim, the Torah, the pasuk over here is saying that we have to examine well these later witnesses, hamazim es rishonim, who are falsifying the first witnesses. And so again, you add another 2, harei sheva chakiros, that is a total of 7 questions that are asked at the chakiros, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Amid Beis.